Okay, hi everyone, I'm Tian. Okay, I'm coming from Hermo. I will introduce it later. So first, my topic is React-Boilerplate. Can I have a raise of hand of how many people actually know about React-Boilerplate? How many people know? Okay, then how many people are actually trying with it? You tried it before and you didn't use it, or you use it? Okay, there's no hand actually. Okay, so today I'm going to have a brief introduction about this React-Boilerplate. Okay, I'm not actually one of the contributors, but my team is actually using it for now. Okay, so for general knowledge, so as you know, when I checked yesterday, React.js have actually 131k star on GitHub, and React-Boilerplate have actually 22k. That's around 1/6 of the React user. Okay, so about me. So I'm a senior front-end engineer from Hermo.my. So if you are commercial and you are from Malaysia, maybe you will heard of it. Hermo.my is a #1 beauty e-commerce company in Malaysia. And I have working with JavaScript for 6 years. Okay, first few years I'm working on YUI, Yahoo UI interface, which is a legacy framework that no people is using anymore. And then after that I switched to Angular, and then since last year I moved up to React. Okay, and I start my React with React-Boilerplate. Okay, so what is React-Boilerplate? Okay, from the name you can actually guess it. It's a boilerplate. So what is boilerplate? According to Nick Carney, there's some guy from somewhere. Okay, boilerplate is actually a block of code that you reuse. Okay, or more specifically, is a lot of library that you keep using. The same library, the same tech stack that you use for each of your project. So what boilerplate do is they wrap up all these libraries and allow you to get started very fast without setting up each of the libraries manually. Okay, so let's see about React-Boilerplate. It's actually based on Node.js. Okay, I think most React is on Node.js. And then they use Express as the web server. And then we have Webpack, which is a modular bundler and act as a task runner. And then React-Boilerplate is okay, let me have a brief. Okay, they have this ESLint. Just ESLint for the code checker is a linter. And then we have Jest for test-driven development. We have Bubble for ES6 transpile, CSS for loading, CSS loader for loading CSS, and the hot middleware for hot reload. And then they actually have, okay, of course, React, and come up with this thing. And then Boilerplate already set out all of this for you. Okay, as you might know so far, Boilerplate is not for a big project. So let's say if you already have a code base and it's well developed and use it for several years already, it's not advised to you just jump to Boilerplate and then redo everything. This Boilerplate is more for you to start a new project, a small project, or a multiple small project. Okay, next. So let's see some of the props. Actually, it's some of the features that's provided by Boilerplate. They have hot reloading for reflect your JavaScript and CSS changes immediately. And then they have routing already. Variables for the transpile for ES6. And then they have quick scaffolding for you to generate components and containers. ESLint for code convention checking. And then just for test driven. And then internationalization using React INTL. And then, okay, so Boilerplate actually have you set up all this with a few commands. Okay, so there's some trade-off, of course. It's easy to get started with just a few commands and everything is running. But it takes time to actually go and understand what each of the library is doing, especially when you are first running with React. That's what happened on us. We do React-Boilerplate, everything happens magically, and we don't know what happened. Okay. And then everything comes in bundles. So you don't have the option to selectively choose what you want, but you can do it manually to remove those that you don't want. And then they don't have they have smaller community. There's few libraries that's working for React, but not working for React-Boilerplate. But there's always ways for you to contribute and migrate it to Boilerplate anyway. And then since our team start with Boilerplate as the first for React, by the time we don't know React.js, we only know React-Boilerplate. So somehow I get confused with Redux Saga. I thought that is part of React, but later on only I realized that it's not the same thing. It's actually libraries. And of course, a lot of black box. There's some libraries that I still don't really understand, and I don't even realize they are there. Okay, so let's go for some demo. Okay, I'm not going to present something as complicated as we just now. It's just a surface touch using the demo that React-Boilerplate have provided. Okay, so let me have a real demo. So I hope the internet working well. So to get started from the ground, go to Google and search. Okay, of course go to GitHub. And then clone. I think everyone here should know how to do this. And then, just clone. Okay, see, it's actually quite a small package, so it will download in like few seconds. Tap. Okay, after you have download, just let me go back to the slide. Okay, just go into the folder, and then all you need to do is set up. npm run setup. Okay, they will start to setting up the environment. Okay, this actually is the last command to set up everything. The first and the last command. Okay, while waiting for the setup, maybe we can have a look on the file structure. Oh, it's open because I opened it just now. Okay, I think it's too small for you to see, is it? Never mind, I will explain it. Okay, so basically there's few folders. They have a server and internal folder which run out the web server and all those script they need. I don't have a clear idea on what it is. And then they have a folder for documentation. And then the main content here will be the apps folder. Inside the apps, you have components, which have all the components and containers. Okay, since it's a demo project, so they actually have some demo component and container inside, and you can actually use them, or you can choose to remove them later on. And then images for resource, a test for some basic testing, and then a translation for the IADN. And utils, some utils function also. Yeah, you can add on later on. So this is a basic file structure. I think is almost done. Okay, this question is: do you want to start a new repository? Yes or no? I tried with Y and tried with N. They come up with the same thing. So I don't know what happened. That's the black box. Okay, so it's all done. So after you set out everything, what you need to do next is npm start. Yeah, and then the server is up. So this is the server using localhost, fresh clone and set up on the spot. Okay, don't worry, I still have much to go. So next. Let's do some demo, file structure already. Okay, hot reload. Okay, so I talked about hot reload just now. I think most of people heard already and actually using it already, hot reload. So when you change something, they will update. Okay, let's go to, this is a home page. So I will open the home page. I will search it instead, home page, and then index folder. Okay, index folder is a entry point for all the components and container. We always start with index. And then, this is a page. So I'm going to do some changes over here. Let's say I change the font size. I will change it at the whole section. So, okay, they are using JSS, so can you actually do inline CSS? We're using the modular. Okay, let's say the font size. Font size. Okay, let's say 130%.
Colon, not semicolon.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's true. Okay, when I save it, you can see the changes on the spot. I don't even go and refresh it or anything, they just refresh. Okay, that's styling. So let's see if we're adding some text. Haha. And I save it, and then so they will refresh almost real time. Okay, that's how we log. Okay, next demo. What I have next is the translation. So I think since we are a multinational country, Malaysia, Singapore, multinational, so we always use a lot of syntax. So translation is quite important. So actually you can see they're having this formatted text. So let's say I want to change this message. So first you I will go to the file, review in sidebar, and then you see there will be a message file over here. So we will do it modular. This means the message you found here should come out here. Okay, this one. So where's my page? So when you change this copywriting, is it the correct one? No, sorry, I missed out one step. This is the default message. Okay, they actually have translation file which compile everything together. So let's say this is the ID of this syntax. If you go to outside, there's a translation folder I mentioned just now, and there will be like English. And you search for the ID, you can actually see the same text here. This is a default. Okay, let's change it, and it will update. Okay, so that's for changing copywriting. So what if, let's say someday I'm adding more of the more of the copywriting, and then I want to change them 2 and 3 with a new ID. Okay, and then at the end of my project, I actually forget how many new messages that I have added on, and they are not here. Okay, so don't worry. Boilerplate actually come up with some action. You can find it in package.json. This is called extract intl. Okay. So let me show you this one. The message that we have found just now is around here. And when we run the command npm run extract intl, and I save it. Run it. Okay, you can see. Okay, the new message actually just pop up. Okay, they will go and find all the newly added message and just pop at it here. So you can just at the end of your development, you just need to change this one, pass to your copywriter, ask them to fill in the content. So if you want to demo like whether this thing is really worth, you can see like yeah, they will change. Okay, but the way they change involves some Redux, and you can explore it yourself. I will explain about Redux later, and you can go back and try it. Okay, that's about INTL. Next one. Okay, modular and composable CSS. Okay, since it's using JSS, so you can change your CSS compose after you compose. Okay, let's say we have a font size over here. Okay, I'm going to use some variables, so let's change into backtick syntax. And then I want the font size to be, let's say, 100% minus width. Okay, this variable is username. Okay, let's say username.length length times, let's say 2%. And then just save it. So when I actually type in something and then the length of username is changed, you can see that the CSS, the styling actually changed accordingly. So it's composable. Okay, that's all of it. Next demo. Okay, Tian ESLint. So let's say I want to add another styling. Go to the back, hide this one. Okay, so it's a comma. Let's say background color. Background color equal to some color. Let's say salmon. I like this color. Okay, but you see when you type something too long, I think this one is it. Yeah, they will just start to throw you linter error. So let's make it into multiple line. So, sorry, this one first. Type. New line, and new line. And this one also new line. Okay, you get used to it when you start familiar with the linter. But when something happens, you can actually see the red underline. It's very small. Can you see it? The red underline. So if you hover it, you will see ESLint, and actually they're using prettier with ESLint. They're actually telling what's the parent. For this one, it asks you to delete the space. Delete the space, same for this one, same for this one. And then this will be replace space with comma. So, and done, everything done. So what you see is, they will forcefully request you to change your code following their ESLint structure. So by this way, you can actually set a code convention, and all the team members typing the same code. And if you are considered about whether we can configure the ESLint, there's of course some way to configure. Okay, next one. Don't worry, it's the second last already of the demo. Okay, so Redux. Anyone using Redux here? Okay, oh, there's quite a lot. So, Boilerplate actually come up with this Redux integrate invid. It's like closely integrated. So what I understand, not sure is the facts. They have this index file, action, constant, reducer, and selector. So when you generate a generate a container, they will actually ask you whether you need this thing. When you tell the Boilerplate you need this, they generate a container with all this file inside. So index is the entry file. Action will define all the action that going to dispatch. Constant define the variable for the type, and then reducer will be modifying your state, and selector will extract data from state and passing back to index. So let's have a look. Okay, if you go back to the file structure, and here, so you can see actually there's more than that because they actually modified the template. So there's action, there's index, there's message, there's reducer, and selector. Okay, so what happened is, if you see this text input, when you type something, the text come up. It will say, okay, it's nothing special. This is a HTML default text input. But actually, they already have a wrapper on it, and it's not as simple as simply input. So what happening is, if you go to the input, you will see that the value is using username, which is props. And then on change, they will trigger this function. And this function will actually dispatch an action. Okay, dispatch will be like firing an action. So they're firing change username, and change username is actually import from action. So let's go to action. Inside action, you will see that each action they will have few things. First one, compulsory, is the type. They need to define a type, and then it's some others value. It might be one, might be more, just the parameters. So variable import from constant, just to define the constant, so we don't miss out of it. And then when your index dispatch an action, your reducer will listen to it. And when they do it, they will check for the type. Okay, let's say just now change username. So since it's import from the same constant, it will be 100% the same value. And what they do is they get the value from username and inject into draft. Draft. And draft is actually a duplicate of stack. After that, they will handle and set into the stack. So in our case, homepage using the home stack, they're mapping in the index. So your selector, which will get home stack username, this map select home username, they will constantly get from this one. And then if you go back to your index, you will see that. So this value import from selector, and they will use for map stack to props into username. So then map this value into your stack. And then at the end, we will use this value in our input. Okay, inside the input. So actually, every time you type a single character, they will run through one cycle. One cycle of what I mentioned just now, the Redux cycle. Okay, to test it, maybe we can, like, let's say I add alert here. Alert with the action.username as a value. So let's say every time I change the text, they will trigger the alert. Yeah, this too troublesome. Okay, let's remove it. So every time you type something, they trigger the Redux cycle, but it's still so smooth that you will imagine that it's just a normal text input. So this is the Redux that I understand. And then the next demo will be Redux Saga. So on top of Redux, they actually come together with Saga. So what I understand is Saga will be the side effect. That means on some action, they will trigger some other side effect, some other action going at the back as a side. So what happened is, I think okay, there's a Saga action trigger here, which is when I enter, they will actually call the API. So what's happening here is when you enter, they will trigger form submit. What is it? Index submit. So on form submit, they will dispatch another action, which is log repo. And this log repo is actually import from the action of apps container. So we need to find container, apps, and the action. Yeah, and it's here. So this function actually calling, they will dispatch this log repos constant. Log repos constant, so is import, the constant is import from apps container. So let's find, so container, apps, and Saga, very constant. So they define here. This is a value, the string, but we just need to remember the variable. So what happened is there's a inside container, apps, reducer. They are listening to this value, and on change of this value, on trigger of this action, they will set the loading, set error to false, loading to true, and the data to false. Okay, this is, if following the Redux structure, this order it, they return the value, selector pick the value, and pass back to index. But at the same time, Saga is actually working. So if you search here, Let's do a search with the variable name. Oh, there's so many. And then Saga. Yeah, this one, Saga. Okay. Is it too small? So inside Saga, they are actually something, they are taking letters of this thing. So I treat it as they are listening to this value. When this one is triggered, they will trigger this action. And this action will fire. What they do is, they will get the value, username, from the same letter that I used for index just now. So they get the same value, exactly same value, and then they pass into the URL and they fire the API. This API will get the repos of this username, the repos of this user, and return to you. And the next thing they do is, they will dispatch another action, which is called repos loaded. So same thing again, they'll dispatch the action, and then reducer will listen to it. So let's go to container, apps, reducer. Okay, so they are calling this repo. If you go to action, you can see the type they use is, I think I need to show. Container again, apps, and then constant. No, action. Okay, so the variable that they use is this block repo success. And if you go back to the reducer, block repo success is this one. So they actually set the data, set the loading to false, and set the username. So what you see just now is, when you enter form submit, trigger an action, they will fire loading. And while they are loading, they trigger Saga at the same time. And Saga will call API, get the data, and after API get the data, they will fire success. So what you can see is Safari. Okay, so you see, when you tap, they will trigger the reducer Redux cycle. When you enter, they will trigger Saga, Redux Saga. And then you see the loading. That's the loading fetch. They call the API. API return data, and they set the data. Okay, so that's actually two actions being triggered. So this is the Redux Saga. So all of these features actually come default by React-Boilerplate. We freshly download, freshly clone, set up, and use on the spot. Okay, this is the almost demo. Okay, so next thing I would like to share will be our experience, our team, what our team learned from this React-Boilerplate. Okay, let me full screen. Okay, ever since we implement React-Boilerplate, we actually standardize our code, because previously we're doing on Java and everything, and then different people doing different code. When they come together working as a team, the code is like totally personalized. Everyone have their own style. But since we implement ESLint, all the underlying red line actually enforce us to standardize our coding method, and we actually modify the default ESLint to fit our need. And then it's easy to set up. Okay, last time we are using Yi framework, and then topping it out with Angular plus jQuery, and then it will take us like almost 1 week just to get a new member to set up their development environment. But ever since we changing to React-Boilerplate, okay, today we have interns coming in, and then we only take like less than 10 minutes to get her to start up the whole development environment. And she can actually start working on this the next hour after a short briefing. And then it's lightweight. So last time we running on Vagrant. We also tried Docker, but this one is definitely faster than that. We don't need to reserve memory. We don't need to reserve RAM. Okay. Next thing is, because previously we working on SAS, SS style, synthetically awesome style sheet. So we actually implement SS into Boilerplate also. I don't know whether it's a good approach, because they already come with the modular CSS, but we actually override it with another CSS. But this worked for us and it's convenient, so we adopt this method for now. And then we're actually trying to implement Material UI recently. and it's quite okay so far. We should come up with our own global utils to set our reusable function, global style to set global styling, and global scope to save our value. Actually, we should use the stat, the home stat just now, but global scope is easier. We don't need to dispatch action and everything. I still don't know whether this is a correct and appropriate approach, but this thing works for us since we are still noob on boilerplate. And then the last one is, I will say, is we have a better development experiment because, okay, let me show you some demo. So, a demo again. So last time we have our Android developer, he's working on Java, and we have our iOS developer, she's working on React Native version. And then we have our web developer. They are using React framework plus Angular plus jQuery. And then someday my CTO, he came in and then he said, okay, let's set up, this React boilerplate is good, let's set up a React Native boilerplate. So actually, inspired by that one, he get a React Native environment and start to add on all those webpack and make it into React Native boilerplate. And then Android developer and iOS developer moving to the new environment, which is using React Native boilerplate. And after seeing that they are working fine, the web team also migrated from Angular to React. We haven't migrated totally, but we are in the progress. And so now, my whole team is actually using React.js now. Okay, yeah, almost all. Totally all. But it's not the truth, everything. Actually, two of them are using React Native and we are doing React. But, okay, as what React announced in their articles, they are not trying to learn once, use everywhere. What they introduce is learn once, write anywhere. So that means our web developer can actually jump in and help with the apps team to develop their apps. And the apps team can actually come to the web team and help us. But the code is not reusable because the way they render is different. And there's even Android and iOS, they are not totally the same. There's still a lot of work around we need to do. But what's real is it's easier to learn the other one. It's actually to hop from here to there, and they are very similar already. Just some little parts on the index file. Index part, actually that's because the author want to remain, they want to have good developer experience while remain good user experience on the native platform. That's why they do this. But I'm very okay with this. And as a conclusion, at the end, I will say this is those people who contribute to React boilerplate in GitHub. And I'm not one of the contributors, but hopefully someday I will contribute to this. And if anyone is interested, you can actually go and join them. And that's all. Any question? No question. Is this a sign of no question?
Questions?
Yeah.
Is there any styling library? How do you style your CSS? How do you do styling?
Okay, for us, at first we're using style component. Style component come together with React boilerplate, but we found that extremely troublesome, and I know that's good. We try to reuse the same style component for React Native and React, but the result is not so promising. They run out, and then some styling for web is not usable in apps, and at the end we find like, okay, this thing is not so good yet, or we just don't know how to use it. So at the end, our app team actually do their own styling, and the web team actually go back to the old way, which we use SASS. Yeah, that's what happening on us. I'm not sure whether that's the good approach, but that's what we're working. Yeah. Is that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any more? Okay, that's so quiet.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So thank you.